Chapter 1. The Box. I found the box by accident. It was sitting on the lowest shelf in the archive. No inventory number, no date, no label. Boxes like that aren't considered lost. They simply aren't considered at all. No one opens them because there's no formal reason to. Inside were documents from different years, social services reports, copies of police records, internal memos without signatures, and between them, a child's drawing, yellowed at the edges, folded in half. A building, simple, no details. One window completely filled in with black. At the bottom, a date, April 14, 2019. Chapter 2. The Child. The drawing led to the personal file of a girl from St. Miriam's Children's Shelter in Brooklyn. Her exact age was never confirmed. The documents listed her as approximately 8 years old. She had arrived there after a short placement in a foster home, about which almost no records remained. The psychological profile consisted of only a few lines. Quiet, limited verbal contact, repetitive behavior expressed through drawing. No recorded complaints. No reports of abuse. Only dozens of drawings, filed away in different folders. Chapter 3. The First Murder. The date on the drawing matched the murder of Martha Wilkins, age 42. She lived in Maple Court Apartments in Brooklyn, a typical residential building without a doorman, with security cameras only in the hallways and elevator. Martha lived alone, worked from home, and rarely interacted with her neighbors. She was found dead in her bedroom late in the evening. The apartment door was locked from the inside. There were no signs of forced entry. The windows were closed. There were almost no signs of a struggle, which immediately complicated the investigation. Neighbors reported hearing nothing unusual. A few mentioned routine sounds, footsteps in the hallway, the elevator doors, but nothing that stood out. The hallway cameras were not working that night due to a technical failure that was never fully explained. The case was classified as a domestic homicide with no identified suspect. Investigators considered the possibility of an acquaintance or a spontaneous conflict, but neither theory was supported by evidence. After 3 weeks, the case was transferred to the archives, technically open, but effectively frozen. At that same time, the drawing with the date was sitting in the girl's social services file. No one connected the two events. No one even suggested they might be related. Chapter 4. Oversight. At first, I wasn't looking for anything specific in the drawing. It looked like dozens of others. A simple building, minimal detail, a child's hand. I set it aside and returned to the materials from Martha Wilkins' case. But something wouldn't let it go. I picked up the drawing again and focused on the window. It wasn't just shaded, it was the only element emphasized so carefully. In the drawing, it was slightly off-center, not in the middle of the facade. Exactly like in Maple Court Apartments, where one bedroom window faced the inner courtyard, a blind spot for the cameras. I checked the floor plan. The window in the drawing matched the exact location of the room where the body was found. Then I looked at the perspective. The building was drawn from below at a slight angle. Not the way residents see it, but the way someone standing in the courtyard or a service passage would. Exactly where, according to police reports, cameras consistently failed to function. I compared the date, then the estimated time of death, then the weather conditions that night. There was no rain in the drawing, but there were darkened lines around the window, the way interior light looks at night. The bedroom light was on at the time of death. That detail was noted in the report. None of these elements alone was evidence, but together, they formed a picture a child could not have invented at random. That was the moment I stopped seeing the drawing as an emotional gesture. It didn't explain what happened. It showed where it was seen from. And that's when it became clear why no one had noticed earlier. Children's drawings are not treated as testimony. Social services store them as therapy, not information. Police never see them. It isn't a conspiracy. It's a division of systems. That's how real witnesses disappear between departments. leaving behind only paper no one reads closely. Chapter 5. The second sheet. The second drawing appeared in the fall of 2019. I found it in a different folder, among documents from another district, where it had no obvious connection to the first. The folder had been processed by a different employee and stored in a separate archive. The drawing was immediately recognizable. The same style, simple lines, no details. The same blackened window, shaded more carefully than anything else. This time, two figures, one larger, the other slightly off to the side, as if not fully part of the scene. The building was drawn from a different angle, but the logic was the same. It didn't look like imagination or repetition from memory. It looked like the recording of a moment. At the bottom of the page was a date, September 29, 2019. At that time, I didn't yet know what had happened that day. But the feeling was clear. This drawing, like the first, wasn't random. Chapter 6. The second murder. That day, Robert Klein, age 58, was killed at Riverside View Complex in Queens. He lived on the 4th floor, worked as an accountant, and had no recorded conflicts. He was found in the living room, seated in a chair, as if he hadn't even had time to stand up. There were no signs of a struggle. The furniture was undisturbed. The apartment door showed no damage. The lock was intact. Once again, it looked like the victim had let someone involuntarily. Several neighbors recalled a man wearing a badge who entered the building earlier that day. He moved confidently, seemed to know where he was going, and raised no suspicion. They assumed he was a maintenance worker or building staff. The detail was included in the report, but never treated as a separate lead. Police did not consider it significant. People like that pass through large residential buildings every day. Chapter 7. A coincidence that stops being one. I laid both drawings out on the table next to the building plans. From a distance, they looked almost identical. Too identical to be coincidence. They didn't look emotional. There was no exaggeration, no fear, no distortion. They looked precise, almost technical. The perspective was the same in both, from below and slightly to the side. The blackened window was always placed where cameras didn't function or visibility was limited. I verified this against surveillance layouts. The match was exact. The figures in the drawings didn't interact. They simply existed in the same space. That's how someone draws when they are observing, not imagining. The child wasn't fantasizing. She was recording what she saw, without understanding why it mattered. Chapter 8. The third case. In June 2020, night security guard Daniel Morno, age 36, disappeared in the Bronx. He worked at Harbor Line Storage Facility, a large warehouse complex with minimal lighting and numerous technical areas. He was last seen at the start of his shift. Cameras recorded only his arrival. There was no footage of him leaving. A month later, his remains were found in a locked technical room accessible only to staff and contractors. The case was officially reclassified as a homicide, but no clear theory emerged. The drawing of this building was dated June 2, 2020, one day before Morno disappeared. It was the first time a drawing predated the event recorded in police reports. Chapter 9. Realization. She wasn't predicting crimes. She had no concept of the future or consequences. She didn't know what murder meant. To her, these were simply moments that felt wrong, moments worth remembering. She was nearby, close enough to see details, too close to ask questions or escape. Drawing was her way of leaving a trace without drawing attention. A way not to disappear completely, even when no one listened. Chapter 10. The shelter. I began reviewing 3 years of access logs from St. Miriam. The lists were long and monotonous. Maintenance crews, inspectors, temporary workers, contractors from various companies. At first, it looked like chaos. But once I aligned the dates, a pattern emerged. One name appeared again and again. Different companies, different job titles, the same routes. the same neighborhoods. This person had legitimate access to the shelter and to every building where the murders occurred. He never needed to break in. He was always let inside. Chapter 11, Disappearance. In February 2021, the girl disappeared from St. Miriam. Not in the middle of the night. Not during an emergency. Just between routine checks. The file contained a short, standard entry. Runaway, low risk. That classification meant the child was assumed to have left voluntarily and did not require immediate action. No active search was initiated. Police were notified formally without opening a separate case. Cameras at the building's exit were offline that week due to scheduled maintenance. Her bed was reassigned 2 days later. Her belongings were sent to storage. After that, no new entries appeared in her file. And more importantly, no new drawings. That was the first thing I noticed. Drawing had been her only consistent behavior. And it stopped abruptly. Chapter 12, The Final Murders. In November 2021, 2 people were killed at Elm Street residence in Brooklyn. Different apartments. Different floors. One night. Less than 2 hours between emergency calls. No clear connection between the victims. The media used the word series for the first time. Commentators spoke of coincidence. Police spoke of circumstantial overlap. For me, the pattern had been clear for a long time. I already knew the buildings weren't connected by victims or by method. They were connected by access. Chapter 13, The Arrest. In the spring of 2022, he was detained during a routine contractor audit. No masks. No tactical units. No cameras. He didn't resist. Didn't ask why he was being detained. As if he knew this moment was inevitable. During questioning, he confessed to several incidents. He spoke plainly. Listed addresses without hesitation. Remembered buildings better than victims' names. When asked about the shelter, he claimed not to understand the question. When the girl's name was mentioned, he went silent. He never said a single word about the child. As if her role in this story had never existed. Chapter 14, The Empty Box. In the final case archive, there was a box labeled with her name. No number. No cover memo. It was empty. No drawings. No personal belongings. No documents indicating transfer, death, or adoption. The box existed in the system, but nothing inside it had ever been officially registered. That's what an unfinished case looks like. That's what an erased presence looks like. Chapter 15, Witnesses. We caught the person who was killing. The case was closed. The statistics balanced out. But no report answered the simplest question. Who left the drawings? The girl is not listed as a witness. Not listed as a victim. Not listed at all. In some cases, testimony doesn't disappear. It's simply never acknowledged. Sometimes, for the truth to surface, the one who saw it has to vanish first, even if they were a child.